we are at the Arctic Circle.
We are in the Yukon, in Canada. Here in the Yukon, you can actually drive to the Arctic Circle and beyond. The Dempster Highway, which starts in Dawson City, home of the famous Great Klondike Gold Rush, is one of only 2 roads in North America where you can drive to the Arctic Circle.
The Arctic Circle is a very important place on Earth when it comes to astronomy. And it is all because the Earth is tilted.
Ah! Let's Explore Astronomy is sponsored in part by
Distinctly Yukon. The Westmark Whitehorse Hotel and Conference Center is the Yukon's premier lodging facility. Make your reservations today at westmarkhotels.com. Westmark Hotels, with 9 unique locations throughout Alaska and the Yukon.
Because the Earth is tilted, we have the seasons: spring, summer, winter, and fall.
When we say the Earth is tilted, we need to define a reference point to where it is tilted from. And we have to use something off the Earth to do that. So we will use the Sun. The Earth orbits the Sun in a plane.
Must be a really fast plane, faster than a jet fighter.
Not an airplane. The plane of the orbit. As we all know, the Earth rotates on its axis around the North and South poles. Draw a line from the Sun to the Earth along the Earth's plane of orbit. Then, draw a line perpendicular to it, 90 degrees. If the Earth was not tilted, the North and South poles would be on this line, 90 degrees to the orbital plane.
If this was the case, there would be no real seasons. Every day there would be the same number of hours of daylight, and the Sun would track the same across the sky every day.
But the Earth is not positioned like that. It is tilted off this perpendicular by 23.4393 degrees. Let's say about 23.5 degrees to make it simple. Because of this, the Sun does not appear in the sky the same every day.
And that makes this point, the Arctic Circle, very important. For on the longest day of the year in June, the Sun never sets. It is 24 hours of daylight. We call it the midnight sun because it is still sunny at midnight.
Standing here at the Arctic Circle on the summer solstice, or anywhere north of here, you would see the Sun travel across the sky from east to west as normal. But as it looks like it's going to set in the west, it doesn't. It gets lower in the sky, but tracks northward. Soon the Sun is directly north and still visible. It now begins to rise again in the sky as it tracks east and a new day begins.
The further north you go from here, more days in a row you have no nighttime. Even weeks and months with 24 hours of daylight. The Sun just keeps going around and around and around and around.
If we go back to the geometry, we shall see how the math works. The Arctic Circle is located about 66.5 degrees north. The Earth tilt from its orbital plane is 23.5 degrees. 90 minus 23.5 equals 66.5. This means that the Arctic Circle, not the North Pole, is the place on Earth that is exactly perpendicular to the plane of the Earth around the Sun.
Of course, there has to be a sister circle around the South Pole at the same angle. We call that line the Antarctic Circle.
Remember, the Earth still spins around the North and South Pole line. Because of this, when the pole is tilted toward the Sun, as the Earth spins, every place inside that circle still points toward the Sun. And vice versa, when the pole is tilted away from the Sun, as the Earth spins, every place inside the circle always points away from the Sun. So this is why, at certain times of the year, in those regions, there's 24 hours of daylight or 24 hours of darkness. Ancient peoples throughout time did not know what caused the Sun to track across the sky differently each day, but they observed the pattern, and from there could use the Sun as a calendar to determine planting and harvesting seasons, or wet or dry times coming, or hot or cold times coming.
So let's see how the seasons work and discover 3 more important circles around the Earth. Let's pretend it's June, the longest day of the year, 24 hours of daytime at the Arctic Circle.
Notice the point on the Earth that lays on the orbital plane closest to the Sun. Remember, it is June. This point is on a circle around the Earth that we call the Tropic of Cancer. Guess what latitude it is at? If you said 23.5 degrees, you would be right. If you were on the Tropic of Cancer on the summer solstice, the sun would be directly overhead at noon. The Tropic of Cancer runs through such places as Mexico, North Africa, India, Taiwan, and others. The Tropic of Cancer was named around 2,000 years ago, when the sun at the summer solstice was in the constellation Cancer. But since then, the precession of equinoxes now puts the sun in Taurus at the solstice. We have been saying that the tilt of the Earth is 23.4, or nearly 23.5 degrees. That is today. The Earth actually wobbles a bit, and the tilt moves between 22.1 and 24.5 degrees over a 41,000-year period. It is currently decreasing. This wobble makes the Tropic of Cancer, along with the Arctic and Antarctic circles, move over the years.
Now let's move 6 months from June 21st to December 21st. The Earth is on the other side of the sun. Hey, where did our 24 hours of sun go?
It is now December and the winter solstice, the shortest day of the year in the northern hemisphere. And here at the Arctic Circle, that means instead of 24 hours of daylight, like at the summer solstice, there is now 24 hours of night. From here north in winter, the sun does not even come up. Darkness lasts weeks and months the closer you get from here to the North Pole. Good thing old Mr. Moon is out bright tonight, so we can see from the moon glow.
Miss Moon!
What?
It's Miss Moon, Luna. Luna is a goddess. So is Miss Moon, not Mr. Moon.
What about the man in the moon?
There is no man in the moon. The moon is named after a goddess Luna. It is a girl.
If you insist.
I do.
I forgot what I was talking about. In fact, I can't think of anything right now as I'm getting really cold.
Me too. I'm freezing. I'm getting my parka.
If it is the shortest day of the year in the northern hemisphere, then it is the longest day of the year in the southern hemisphere. At the Antarctic Circle on December 21st, it is daylight, 24 hours of daylight. And at 23.5 degrees south, the sun is exactly overhead. This is the Tropic of Capricorn. Like the Tropic of Cancer in the northern hemisphere, the Tropic of Capricorn sits at the same latitude in the southern hemisphere. The Tropic of Capricorn passes through places such as Rio in Brazil, South Africa, Madagascar, and Australia. It was named 2,000 years ago because the sun was in the constellation Capricorn. But today, because of the precession of equinoxes we told you about, the sun sits in Sagittarius on the December solstice. Where this day heralds in winter in the northern hemisphere, it means the start of summer in the southern hemisphere. Also, the word tropic is used because everything between the Tropic of Cancer and the Tropic of Capricorn is considered the tropics.
That brings us to the equator, the line that goes around the very center of the Earth. Latitude 0. To the north is the northern hemisphere, and to the south it is the southern hemisphere.
Twice a year, on the spring and fall equinoxes in March and September, the Earth moves to a position around the sun that the Earth's tilt is perpendicular to the sun. The Earth is not tilted towards or away from the sun.
On those 2 days of the year, the sun is directly overhead the equator. If the Earth is not tilted, this would be a very different world, little or no seasons, and our weather would be completely different.
Earth is not the only planet that has a tilt either. Now, Mercury has no tilt. Jupiter has a small one of about 3 degrees, but Mars, Saturn, and Neptune are all within a few degrees of the Earth's tilt. Venus is only tilted about 3 degrees, but it rotates backwards, in retrograde, so it can be looked at as being almost upside down compared to Earth. And then there is Uranus, with a tilt of over 90 degrees. Uranus sits on its side compared to its orbital plane around the Sun.
So how far north does this road still go, Herc?
About another 200 kilometers or so, all the way to Inuvik, which is not far from the Arctic Ocean. Talk about the midnight sun. Up in Inuvik, they have 56 days of continuous daylight in the summer. That is almost 2 months. Then in winter, they have over a month of no daylight.
Let's go!
All right, vámonos, amigos! Hey, why don't you plan on experiencing the Arctic Circle for yourself? An adventure of a lifetime awaits you and your family in Canada's Yukon. There is something for all ages, and it is easy and affordable. From Whitehorse to the gold rush town of Dawson City, and all the way to the Arctic Circle and beyond to Inuvik in the Northwest Territories. Start planning your trip today by visiting our sponsors, TravelYukon.com and Westmark Hotels. From the midnight sun to the northern lights, it is a vacation you and your family will cherish forever.